I'm Sarah. I read as Sora the Intuitive for Sky Messages by Sora. I am a tarot reader who specializes in past life readings. I also teach and mentor the tarot. I have two journals, one for learning the tarot and one for more learning yourself and deepening the connection with your deck. That one's a collaboration with Killer Pancake, who makes a couple of the decks I'll be reviewing. The reason I started this channel, and specifically this series, the tarot review series, is that I really want people to be able to have a connection. I want anyone who wants to do the tarot to be able to learn it. And a lot of times people get really frustrated because the first deck that they start using, they don't really connect with. And so I'm hoping that instead of getting frustrated or spending a lot of money on decks that they then realize they don't want, people can sort of start to learn what their style is, what theme they're looking for, what kind of imagery works for them, and help people find the right decks for them. I do believe that if there is a tarot deck out there, there is an audience for it. And if there is somebody who wants to learn, then there's definitely a deck for them. So this won't have star ratings. This won't be about what's good and bad. It'll be about the details, such as the guidebook, a level that it's good for, like basic to advanced. It will be, how close it is to the Rider-Waite or the Tarot de Marseille, or the Thoth for those who prefer that. And it will just give people a look and hopefully help them start to begin their journey. Or for those of us who have been on their journey for a while, but are thinking about new decks and testing out different things, give them a preview. So there are some of the decks behind me, but if there are any you're interested in, let me know. And let's get started. For today's deck review, we are going to be looking at the OG tarot deck. Well, sort of. This is a reprint of the Tarot de Marseille. I will link the Etsy shop below. There are lots of places that have put together or reprinted this deck. I really like the quality of this one, so I will link the specific shop that I got it from. I like how the cards feel old, even though they're new. And I don't mean old like they've been worn out or anything. I just mean they have this feeling of being from an earlier time. So the Tarot de Marseille, or the Tarot of Marseille, is where we get tarot decks as we know them. It was the inspiration for the Rider-Waite, for the Universal Tarot, for just about any of the more modern lines that you can think of. It does come directly from the playing cards. It was actually made as a deck of playing cards for the Italian aristocracies, or aristocrats. So you see it has the numbers and the ones. This is what we call a pip deck. It's the original pip deck. Because again, it really did come from playing cards and from using them as playing cards. And so the meanings that were assigned were meant to be remembered more than to be pulled from the imagery. So you have that suit style, that minor arcana, in the suit style like playing cards, because the important part was the suit and the number. The original death going through, just cleaning up all the bits. So this makes this a very kind of specific deck. It's great for collectors and great for people who are really interested in the history of tarot. I would not generally recommend it for beginners as the current, what I think of as the modern standard, the current predominant reading style is Rider-Waite. And Rider-Waite, there are a lot of changes. And so there are a lot more resources for the Rider-Waite, and they're just a very different line. Like I said, it does come specifically from this, but a lot of the meanings have changed. So you want to make sure, I thought that was stuck, that you are doing something with a lot of resources. That said, if the line you want to learn is the Tarot de Marseille or something similar, this is a great deck for you. If you want to learn pip decks, it's the perfect deck since this is where they come from. And again, by pip decks, I mean where you can see that the minor arcana is the suit and the number, like this. Some companies do this a lot, especially the novelty ones. So you'll see it with like the Supernatural deck. The Nightmare Before Christmas deck is mostly like that. So it's a good skill to have. But if that is what you were looking for, this is a good deck for that. But if you are looking to read more like modern readers, or you're going to be really actively studying this and using a lot of resources, I would stick to a Rider-Waite style deck. I do really love this. My tradition is closer to this style than the Rider-Waite. So I'm a big fan, but also just as someone who has had tarot in her family for generations, it's really nice to have a copy. So it is always, about preference. If you are drawn to this deck, it's still going to be a good one for you. But really, if you are looking to learn the tarot, I would stick to a different deck. For me, this deck really is best for kind of the historians, the collectors, and the people who read more that style. It does come with a really great guidebook. It's fairly standard, but they do go through with the major arcana some really good things, and they're and go through more of the description. They talk about the suits, and they also have some more educational things as to different ways to read it. It comes in the tuck deck. I also got the bag. That was an additional optional, but it's fun. The card quality, like I said, is excellent. They are not hard to shuffle. The back goes either way, which is great if you are somebody who reads in reversals. I am capable of reading reversals, but I do not read them that way. And to be honest, if you're using a Marseille kind of deck, you wouldn't really be using them that way either. Reversals are also kind of a modern thing, because traditionally the position in the spread would tell you which meaning to lean into with a card. There wasn't a lot of 1 and 2 card draws so much as spreads, particularly the Celtic Cross. That's one of the most well-known, but it's also that way because it's common across traditions, especially for people who would read from this deck. So I'm just going to grab a few cards, but I wanted to mention that about the back. So we are starting with the Ten of Cups. So the Ten of Cups is like the happy ending card, which is great. It's a card of culmination. So to see this at the beginning when we're looking at the week ahead, that would say that you have been wrapping things up and you're leaving yourself in a very good position. While it is a card of culmination and ending, a lot of times it is that ending into the next step. So you see it a lot when relationships take the next step, whether that be marriage or moving in or just a better communication about commitment. It doesn't have to be specifically marriage. It doesn't have to be specifically romantic relationships, but there is that feeling of something very important that you've been on the precipice of, the edge of, and working on the communication, kind of getting to a clearing and an open spot and getting to a much nicer place. With that, we have the Four of Wands, which is a card of weddings and intimate celebrations. And the heart of it here is bringing people together. So I talk about it a lot as like the private celebration when you have gotten to a point where you are proud of something or you're passionate about something and you're ready to share it with the people who are closest to you. I love these together because this almost feels like engagement news, or maybe there's a small business that you're considering and now you're ready to open the doors. You know, this together has a lot of good news and the next step and taking those small steps to ensure further success. And we're going to finish off with the Three of Wands, which is a card of spiritual growth, but also a card of heading forward. And that can be travel, but it really is more of the journey towards something that we are really passionate about. The thing about the wands, they are the fire element. They are the torches, the passion, the motivation. So at this point, you've generally decided what you're going to do and you're setting out on that journey. So these together really have this, like, we've wrapped up, finished up everything that we needed to ensure that our next step would be more of a success, would be something really brilliant. If that is relationships, that can be tying up loose ends on anything that would have kept you from being able to commit. If we're talking about businesses or careers, that can be making sure all your paperwork is in order so that you can transfer or be promoted or start something new. But it lines up very well to say that this next leg of the journey is going to be much more peaceful and much more productive. So hopefully you're carrying that energy this week. Let me know what other decks you'd like to see. I have a whole bunch, but I'm always open to suggestions. If you want to see videos 2 days earlier, they are on my Patreon 2 days early. But I do hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much.